I'm going to explain tariffs very simple. There's a lot of stuff in the media that sound crazy. Taxes, you can't, the US cannot tax other countries. The US doesn't tax companies. When you put a tax on something, you're putting it on a good, you're putting it on an item. Like, let's say a bar of soap. We're going to use a bar of soap, for example. We'll make it a real simple example. So a bar of soap comes into America. A tariff is levied. Basically, that means a tax is put on it. Say it comes from China, right? So there's something called a universal tax of 10% that the US put on. So 10 cents went on it off rip just because it came into the country. Now it came from China. So now there's a 35% tax, 35% tax on it. So it's called stacking, which means you put one on top of the other, right? When you stack. So it's the 10 plus the 35. So if that bar of soap costs $1, it costs $1.10 with the 10%, and then it costs 35% more. So there's a dollar 45 for that dollar bar of soap. Now, where it gets complicated is the company that's selling it still has to make money. So they say, let's say they charge 20 cents on that dollar bar soap, or that's what they charged prior to this month, right? This is April 2025. So they charge you $1.20. Now that bar of soap is costing them $1.45. They still got to make their profit. So that now this bar of soap cost you 120 is now costing you 165, right? That doesn't count the boxes put in and all of that that the tariffs went up on. Just that bar of soap is now $1.65 for you. So here's where it gets interesting. Let's suppose the store is like, nah, I'm not going to charge my customer. I'm just going to pay the difference. So if they charge you $1.20 for what used to cost them a dollar, that means they're losing 45 cents. 45 cents minus 120 is what? 185, 180, something like that. So now they're losing 20, 25 cents every bar of soap they sell. They lost money. The company can't afford to do that. So either they go out of business, fire employees, or they have to charge you that extra 45 cents. And that's going to happen in everything. A pair of sneakers that was $100 is now going to be $145, or if it was $165. And that doesn't count the state tax. You got to remember the 7-cent state tax, right? So I'm sorry, it's not a 145, it's 152. So everything is going to go up coming from China by more than 50%. So if you had a TV that was $100, that TV's $150. If you want to buy a shirt that was a dollar, it's $1.50. If it was $10, it's $15. If you had, and that's if the company stay in business. They can lay off employees to try and cut overhead and try and not charge you the full amount. But a lot of companies are not going to be able to afford to do that. A lot of companies are going to go out of business, and and the ones that stay open might have to let people go. So jobs will be lost, companies will close, and prices are going to skyrocket. That's why everybody's worried about tariffs. That's what tariffs are.